This is my Rhodes Mark I from 1973, and in this video I'm going to be replacing the old damper felts on the Rhodes, meaning cutting off the worn ones and putting on brand new felts. I'll also be fixing a few small aesthetic details along the way, nothing too dramatic, just making the piano look the way it should. So the first step is getting access to the damper felts, and to do that I need to loosen the 4 screws that hold the harp in place. Once those are out, I can lift the harp up and get access to the dampers underneath. Right, so here you can see the old damper felts on this Rhodes, and honestly it wouldn't surprise me if these are the original it came with. I've ordered a full set of new felts from a company called Vintage Vibe, and to be honest I've never done a damper job like this before, so there's a good chance I'll make a few mistakes along the way. But that's a part of the process. To get the old damper felts off, I need to cut them away with a knife, and before doing all of them I decided to start with only one felt, the top E. I wanted to get a feel for how the material cuts and how much pressure I need to actually use, and it also turned out to be a really good idea, because it showed me how to glue on the new damper felts properly. The first one I actually put it on wrong, so it's a good thing I only tried with the first damper felts, and that mistake made it clear what not to do before moving on to the rest of them. And before putting on the new felts, I of course made sure to remove all of the old felt and glue from the damper arm. Starting with a clean surface makes a big difference, because it assures that in the long run the damper is going to be held onto the damper arm for a long time. Here you can see how I glued on the first damper felt the wrong way. It's supposed to stand upright and I put it laying down. Because of that, it gets caught on the tip of the pickup, so it can't move up properly, and it won't dampen the tine like it should. Definitely a good mistake to catch early, and here you can see me realizing what I've done and actually testing out the damper and hearing it not work. And luckily this isn't a huge deal, you just gotta take it off and glue it on the right way. Luckily the glue hasn't set yet, so I could just remove it without damaging anything. Crisis avoided and lesson learned before moving on to the rest. And just to be sure, I double checked that the note would sustain this time. Here's a time lapse of me cutting them off and cleaning everything up, getting it ready for the new felts. Next I'm gluing on the new damper felts in the upper register. And if you look closely, you'll notice that the felts are different depending on the register of the piano. They change in size and thickness to match the tines, since the higher notes are smaller and vibrate differently than the lower ones. Using the right felts in the right place helps the damper stop the notes clean and consistently. When I'm gluing them on, a little goes a long way. I'm using just enough glue to hold the felt in place, making sure it's straight and standing upright when I place it down on the damper spring, so it can move freely and dampen the tine properly. Taking the time here saves a lot of problems later down the line. And you'll also see me using a little piece of paper just to remove the excess glue off the damper arm. This doesn't really do anything performance-wise, but aesthetically it looks a lot cleaner. Next up is the middle register, and I won't be boring you with a long time lapse here, so here's me cutting it and gluing them on, and now cutting the pre-mid register and gluing them on. And here's the bass felts, and I'm not gonna speed the time lapse up just yet. I just wanna answer a quick question why I'm actually changing these felts, and when is it actually time to change felts. Over time the felts wear out and harden or either lose their shape. When that happens, the note doesn't cleanly stop anymore, and it stops, but the note sustains just for like half a second after you've released the key. You might hear noises like ringing or buzzing or sustaining longer than it should, and in some cases the felts can actually get stuck under the pickup, which I've had many times before when lifting up the harp and sending it back down. And if your Rhodes feels uneven or messy or hard to control and a basic adjustment doesn't fix it, maybe it's actually time to change the damper felts on your Rhodes. It's not the quickest job, but it makes a huge difference in how playable the piano feels. I ran into a small issue with these two bass notes, E flat and F sharp. As you can see here, the damper felt is slightly touching the tine on the side, when it should really be contacting the tip straight on. The solution I came up with was re-gluing the damper felt slightly offset on the damper arm, so it lines up better with the tine. I also considered bending the damper arm a little, but that felt a little bit too risky, so I avoided it and did this instead. If you know whether this is a good long-term solution, please let me know in the comments. I'm still trying to learn, and I'm always happy to get better at working on this wonderful instrument. And now this should be fixed. As you can see here, it's touching on the tip of the damper felt instead of on the side. Now that all the damper fells are in place, let's do a quick demonstration so you can hear how it sounds. I'll play through all of the notes so you can hear the even dampening and the clearer tone. To make clear how much of a difference this makes, I'll also show a short clip of how it sounded before the fells were replaced. That's amazing. Finally, I want to see if I can make the back look a bit better. Right now, as you can see, the toe legs is loose in some areas and the wood is showing through. I've got some adhesive goop and I think it will do the trick. So I'm going to apply it and see how nicely it holds everything down. Hopefully this will tidy the back up and make the piano look more complete. And after squeezing this tube to death, I just put on some tape to make sure it holds while it dries. That's it for this video. We got the damper fells replaced, I did a quick demo, and I even tidied up the back a little. Thank you for following along, and see you next time.